I wanted to talk today about something that I have been that was convicting to me the other day, and I was having a conversation with one of you, and we got to talking about something, and I think it was a good conversation. So I wanted to bring it here and talk about it. So let's dive right in. Okay, the thing that we were talking about was how we can get on social media or we can watch TV and kind of get distracted. And before we know it, we haven't done our Bible time. And then it's the end of the day and we feel very guilty and it's just a constant spiral. And so I wanted to talk about today some habits that I want to implement into my routine and some things that I want to do. And maybe it'll help you and just have an honest conversation. So, with the way that the world is today, you have social media and you can binge watch every show under the sun almost. And so it's easy to get distracted. It's easy to get on your phone and scroll on whatever platform you love. And it's so easy to get wrapped up in these things, and then before you know it, it's bedtime and you haven't read your Bible today, and then you feel guilty and you feel like you've let God down, and so then it's this whole thing. So I have been thinking a lot about this because I am so bad about this. I grew up on TV. My mom and I have always been we have always been very big TV people. My mom watched movies and TV shows every single day. And when her cable would go out, she would have a big panic attack. So I just grew up around TV. And so I will find a show or I will find a movie or whatever. And it could be podcast, anything and everything that can distract you today, that can be in your ear, taking you away from God and the Bible. You name it, I've done it. And so I kind of was very convicted on this. And I have been thinking a lot about this. And one thing that I'm very big on habits. I'm very big on goals and having a goal to work toward or having a habit that I can implement into my routine. And so I was thinking about one thing, though. The first thing that I think is going to be the biggest thing is taking it to God in prayer. I mean, He knows our deepest, darkest secrets. So it's not like He doesn't already know that we're doing this. So trying to hide it is not going to help. And so taking it to Him and asking Him to help us, confessing that we have let this happen for so long. It's become a big distraction in our life. It's become where we are not giving him the time that he deserves, and just being honest and being upfront. And I think that that is our first step. And then the second step that I want to do is I want to make sure that when something that I have also noticed with me is when if something gets hard, I want to quit. So I have, if you've been around here, you know that I had this big goal of reading through the prophets this year, the major prophets. And so I just finished up Isaiah a couple weeks ago, and then I was moving on to Jeremiah. Well, something that I noticed is that I just didn't want to do it, and I just kept like putting it off until like forever in the day. And I was thinking, you know what? This is crazy. I set this goal, not God. He's not going to be mad at me if I don't read Jeremiah right now. I can read Jeremiah later on. The only thing that I need to do is I need to be in the Bible. Maybe you're reading through it chronologically. Maybe you're reading the Bible in a year, and maybe you've fallen behind maybe by 5 days. I'm just throwing out random numbers. Maybe you haven't fallen behind, but maybe it's hard to keep up. We put these goals on ourselves thinking that we have to do them perfectly or we have to stick to them, and maybe they stop working. Maybe what goal we had at the beginning of the year isn't working for us anymore. And so what I started doing was I started reading Proverbs instead. And right now I feel like I could use some wisdom literature in my life. And so I pivoted. I stopped reading Jeremiah and I started reading Proverbs. Maybe you're reading, I don't know, maybe you're reading Hebrews and you need to switch to Psalm. Or maybe you're reading Isaiah and you need to switch to Matthew. I don't know. Whatever works, whatever gets you in your Bible. If you're only reading a psalm a day, either way, you're in the Bible. The point is that I think a lot of us can get we can get guilted into thinking that because we don't do it perfectly, or we don't do it the way that social media says deems us perfectly or whatever, that then we might as well just not do it at all, or we don't know where to start. Well, I can tell you, not starting at all isn't the answer. Starting anywhere is better than starting nowhere. So maybe you only read one verse at first, whatever it is to get you in your Bible. Maybe you only read 2 verses. Maybe you start with 2 verses and you work your way up to a whole chapter. Whatever gets you in your Bible. And this was just really convicting to me, because if God is always helping us, and I know that, he is helping us one way or another. It may not, sometimes I think too that we can pray for things, and because his answer is either wait or no, then we get discouraged and we're like, well, I don't want to read the Bible because I'm not, I'm in this rough place right now and I feel like there's no way out, and it feels dark and lonely, and then you're like, I just don't want to read because I feel like God's silent or not hearing me, or he's not answering my prayer the way I think he should. And I think that's another honest conversation that we need to have with ourselves, and know that sometimes it is a no. But that's because either we are praying for the wrong thing, or either God knows the future and he knows that that thing isn't really what we need. It's something else, or that it's just not our time yet. And so I think that we need to be honest, and I think that we need to go again to God in prayer and say, Lord, I'm confessing this. I'm distracted because I'm upset. I'm upset because my prayers, I feel like, aren't being answered. And have that honest conversation, because I think that whatever is keeping us away from God, that's the enemy. And he wants us to be kept away from God. He doesn't want us to be in our Bibles, because he knows if we are, we're going to get closer to God, and that's definitely not what he wants. So I just wanted to bring this up because I wanted to start the conversation here. And I wanted to just be a friend who, again, I'm just sitting at the table with you. We're having a cup of coffee, even though I don't have a cup of coffee here, but maybe you do. And we're having a cup of coffee, a cup of tea, whatever it is that you're drinking, and we're just chatting about what is the distracting thing? What are we using to take away our time from God, and how do we correct that? And being honest with ourselves and saying, okay, I've let this go on for too long. What are the habits that I can put in place to rectify this, to change this? Do I need to go into God in prayer? Do I need to confess? Have I been doing that? Now, do I need to be obedient and just start opening up my Bible and start reading wherever it is that you start? It does not matter. Read John. John's a really good book. Matthew's a really good book. Read those. Don't, if something seems too hard, don't start there. Don't start with the hard thing. Start with an easy thing. Start with a psalm. Psalm 1 is very good, by the way. So if you want to start there, just get in a verse or two and start. Start anywhere. Just start, because if you don't start, that's worse than just reading a verse. And making sure that we're in constant communication with God, because I do know that praying to him often and showing up, it changes lives. It changes everything, because I am a firm believer in constantly communicating with God. Again, he already knows all of it. So it's not like we're hiding anything from him. He knows it. So taking it to him and confessing it, yes, while it feels icky and it may not be fun, but he already knows it. He knows our deepest, darkest secrets. So taking it to prayer and saying, Lord, I messed up. I'm messing up, and I'm being honest, and having that conversation with him. That is the first start. And then working toward building that habit of getting in our Bibles and replacing the doom scrolling, the binge watching TV. Maybe not replacing it. I don't think there's anything wrong with watching a show or, being on social media, but making sure it's not taking us away from our time in the Word, because then I do think there's something wrong with that. And I am not judging anyone in this, because I am right there with you, letting all of that happen, all of that distraction take me away from my time with God. And that just can't happen. It can't happen, because God is not silent. He just we're drowning him out. We're drowning him out with social media, with TV, with podcasts, with whatever it is that we're listening to that is worldly and taking us away from eternity. So, anyways, I hope that you enjoyed this conversation today. Let me know in the comments, do you struggle with this? If you don't, if you have in the past, what are some things that you've done to overcome it? I would love to hear all the things down in the comments. And Lord willing, I will see you on the next one.